Where are you from, son?
Madison City, Missouri, sir.
Never heard of it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, while I am fighting hay fever this morning, I don't know what happened. Suddenly my eyes and nose just became really super inflamed today. So even before I got to sit down and shoot this video for you, I was just like reaming snot everywhere. Thankfully not on my very expensive equipment. Now, while I've always covered movies and TV and comic books here on my channel, and obviously I've moved away from that quite a bit to talk about how bad video games are, I haven't forgotten my channel roots, how I began, what I intended to do with my channel. So it would be remiss of me if I didn't talk about one of the greatest actors of our generation, your generation, Donald Sutherland, who sadly passed away at the age of 88. The news broke yesterday, and I'm just going to switch scenes here very quickly for you. So this is where I saw it on Az's stream when he was playing the Earth Tree DLC for Elden Ring, and somebody messaged him on his live chat. So that's how I actually found out about it. Then I went straight to the BBC here. The Canadian actor Donald Sutherland, star of films including The Hunger Games. I mean, look, the guy was a fantastic actor, but I would not include The Hunger Games because I just don't like that franchise at all. So he was 88 years old. And the guy had 200 credits to his name, spanning more than half a century. Carrie Elwes, co-star in the 2001 television film Uprising, said he was devastated by Sutherland's death. Our hearts are breaking for you, he told Kiefer in an Instagram message. So grateful to have known and worked with him, sending our love. And what a great picture here from the 1980s. I think this was around the time that Kiefer made the film The Bay Boy, which is a good film actually. He then took on small roles in British TV, film and television after studying at the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art in 1957. You forget how old Donald Sutherland actually was. And lots of other tributes here, some I can't believe from certain people. Now, Clute, 1971, Alan J. Pakula. I still have that film to watch on my hard drive, and I'm going to make it my duty to watch it this weekend. But it's a thriller where Donald Sutherland's character is investigating it's the usual thing, investigating a crime, but it involves a call girl played by Jane Fonda, who, let's face it, folks, late 60s, early 70s Jane Fonda, she was an absolute beauty. I had no idea the two of them actually dated for 2 years after making that movie.
Men have paid $200 for me, and here you are turning down a freebie. You could get a perfectly good dishwasher for that.
But she said just briefly, I'm heartbroken. Helen Mirren, who starred in the 2017 film The Leisure Seeker, paid tribute to her friend. It's just really a sad time, actually. And I imagine, you know, if I'd met Donald in real life, I never did. I mean, I've seen his son Kiefer play on stage, and he's amazing. I imagine he'd be like a very gentle, cool guy. He's got this intimidating force about him on screen. He's just so intense. When I saw him with Dustin Hoffman and Morgan Freeman in Outbreak, I mean, gosh, man, the guy really does go for the... He goes for the, not the artery, what am I thinking of, the phrase? He goes for the guts, doesn't he? He does, you know, goes for the spinal cord and rips you right out with his acting. But yeah, if you look at Twitter right here, I mean, isn't that just a great message to send out, folks? Father and son, that's a young Kiefer Sutherland, obviously. With a heavy heart, I tell you that my father, Donald Sutherland, has passed away. I personally think one of the most important actors in the history of film. Never daunted by a role, good, bad or ugly. He loved what he did and did what he loved. And one can never ask for more than that. A life well lived, Dad. And yes, you've probably seen my post here, which I'm going to get to last actually. And as I've said here, I always thought your amazing father would live forever. Rest in peace, Don. So yeah, everybody, what is Stephen Frosty Weintraub doing in? This guy has no place in movies. This guy's a complete annoying nuisance. Actually, he knows nothing about film, and he's just a complete grifter. Sorry, every time I see Frosty Weintraub anywhere posting, I get really absolutely incensed. I haven't seen MASH from 1970, where he played the role that will become more famous from Alan Alda as Hawkeye Pierce. So again, have to watch MASH. Haven't seen that film in a good 25 years. And when you go to the IMDb profile for Mr. Donald Sutherland, the amount of things he's been in and you've completely forgotten. I forgot that he actually acted with Kiefer for the first time in A Western Called Forsaken in 2015. I haven't seen it, but I heard it's pretty good. He also appeared with Rob Lowe in Salem's Lot back in 2004. Again, have not seen that movie. Is it better than the David Soul original from the late 70s? I have no idea, but I do want to watch and find out. If you haven't seen the Dirty Dozen from 1967, which also starred Lee Marvin and Charles Bronson, do yourself a favor and watch it. And Telly Savalas, it's one of those classic, and John Cassavetes, it's just such a great movie. I watched it recently and it still holds up well even to this day. Of course, you do have Kelly's Heroes, where he plays the kind of character I can relate to, who has a bit of a boho life and likes to hang out with beautiful women in the attic of his hideout, which I thought was great.
The hell's that?
His name's Oddball.
I got 3 Shermans outside.
Yeah, what outfit?
Right now, I don't have any outfit.
Again, reuniting him with Telly Savalas, which I thought was awesome. He plays another stoner in The Eagle Has Landed, which funny enough, it's on my shelf on a Blu-ray, which I'm going to watch over the weekend. Who could forget 1978, The Body Snatchers? I think the remake is probably better than the original back in the day and has one of the scariest scenes ever. I can't imagine anybody who's watching this video right now has not seen Invasion of the Body Snatchers. But in case you're one of the first or last few that hasn't, I'm going to drop a spoiler scene here. So if you want to look away and then come back to this video after you've watched that film, here it is. And you know what? Dirty Sexy Money, I never saw this properly when it came out. I heard mixed reviews about it at the time, but in retrospect, it's got a 7.2 out of 10 on IMDb. And the sad thing about it is that while Kiefer Sutherland was making 24, he wanted to get his dad to play Philip Bauer. Now, they got James Cromwell in the end. He's a decent enough actor. But I never quite felt when I'm watching those two on screen that they were father and son. Had you got Donald Sutherland in, and Donald Sutherland actually wanted to be in 24, I think the DNA dynamic would have been much more believable. And I think just seeing Kiefer Sutherland with his real life dad on the screen with him would have been an absolute delight for many fans. I think many 24 fans would have had an absolute meltdown if those two were actually on the screen together in an award-winning TV show back in the day.
Yes.
Please. I know that you miss Dutch as much as I do. And I know this is a terrifically hard time.
Yeah, I gotta break this scene for a second and say Jill Clayburgh, back in the day, what an absolute stone cold fox that woman was. Sadly, we lost her at the age of 66 to leukemia, so it's a bit of a double whammy looking at this scene together of these two fine actors, or should I say actor and actress, and it's just a real shame they're not with us anymore. And I will buy Dirty Sexy Money. I know this scene is a bit of a spoiler for me, so if you haven't seen that series, don't go watching this scene, because unfortunately the title below actually gives away what they're grieving about or who they are grieving about. So yeah, definitely going to buy this series. It looks like the kind of thing, if I'd sat down and watched it when it was out on its original air dates, I would have ended up enjoying it a lot more. But it's on DVD now, and I can get it pretty cheap, both seasons, so at least we've got a 2-season run of something. And you know what? I've got to also say here, as much as I thought superhero movies were great, it's even refreshing to see people like Eddie Murphy, whose Beverly Hills Cop 4, I'm looking forward to watching that actually took a dig at them as well. I think certain superhero movies like Iron Man and Blade should have just been standalone movies, and we would have appreciated them over time. But I think, thank God now, the fatigue of superhero films is kicking in, and I just want to see good old-fashioned action, drama, comedy, and what have yous making a big return to the cinema, because we've been missing them for ages. And I think watching shows like this or a scene like this reminds me I need to actually go and revisit things that I have just glossed over in the past few years. But of course, folks, I will sign off with this tribute to the great legend himself, Donald Sutherland. Again, Elliot Gould, one of his co-stars from MASH, called him a brother, and Elliot Gould in my books is an absolute effing legend as well. But Animal House, probably the greatest fraternity comedy ever made. Had some established stars like Tim Matheson, and also up-and-coming stars as well, which like Karen Allen, who later appeared in Indiana Jones, the Raiders of the Lost Ark. And we have to watch this scene in full, because this is a John Landis film. This was when John Landis was at his absolute peak. So on that one, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this video today, and if you enjoyed my tribute to Donald Sutherland, leave a like below, smash and like that subscribe button, and if I were you, and if you were me, please come back for the next video.
Don't write this down, but I find Milton probably as boring as you find Milton. Mrs. Milton found him boring too. He's a little bit long-winded. He doesn't translate very well into our generation, and his jokes are terrible. But that does not relieve you from your responsibility for this material. Now, I'm waiting for reports from some of you. I'm not joking. This is my job.
And I will say, I have actually known teachers in my time. I had a guy called Gil Main, who was an English literature teacher at my old school, and he is almost a carbon copy of Gil, which was hilarious. And I love based school teachers like that, because when they kind of sit down and say what they think of a famous author, and they despise their work, but they're forced to teach it to their students, I find that more of a double-edged irony than anyone can ever imagine.